happy members of Istanbul, this is just me taking an opportunity to tell you that I was head of HR for Europe. Then I went into leadership and management development, and that was 25 years ago. But I've always kept in touch with my HR colleagues and networks. So I've always felt pretty up to date. And HR people kept saying to me, we know we need to change, but we don't know how. And we decided to research that. So this now is my passion, working with HR people. So in this presentation, what do businesses want from HR? We did some research, insights from our survey on HR's reputation. We're going to pick out some standout learning from the survey, and there are some tools and ideas to help you with something practical for that. And then I want to tell you about our new survey. So what do businesses want from HR? We looked at all these expert sources, read loads of articles, papers, because there are a lot of people who have an opinion about HR. But what we wanted to do was find this critical element. Why is it so hard for HR people to change? And our conclusion was quite clear. It's the quality of the relationship between HR and the business, which is vital. And we went another level down into what this looks like. So I know that many of you will work with competencies and assessment centers and development centers. And so that's what we want to do, get it to that level. How would you know when it was happening or not? Because then you can develop it. So these are our 7 enablers, and they really cross-match very well with the CIPD profiles and various others. And here you'll see bottom left, it is bottom right even, it is endorsed by Dave Ulrich, which is brilliant. He sees our enablers fitting into his credible activist. And he really appreciates the work that we've done, which is great. And we have a system so that you can self-evaluate. You can ask your stakeholders what they think. Also, something that's really powerful is that you can look at how you're doing as a team. You can share and get your team on the same page. And we can even ask your larger client groups what they think of you as a team. So in this survey, why focus on reputation? And it seemed to us that during the pandemic, there was this huge opportunity to build HR's reputation, because the work that you did during the pandemic was heroic. And it thrust you into the front line. So we wanted to find out, has the pandemic enabled HR to rise up and influence more strategically, or has it pulled HR down further into the reactive cycle it's been fighting for years? So let's look at some results. Now, this is a useful structure for us to think about this, and our survey followed this structure. First of all, what are the business priorities? Secondly, what are HR doing about them? And actually, more importantly, what are HR seen to be doing about them? Because so much of HR's work is behind the scenes. My actions right now, what am I doing in these critical moments? And we'll come back to that. HR outcomes, then how do we demonstrate the links between what HR are doing and the business outcomes? Because HR has to demonstrate value. So let's start with the business priorities. And we asked our group, there are about 400 people that participated in the survey, all different levels of HR. We had a good chunk of HR directors giving us their thoughts. And you can see that what they heard their business leaders talking about was building future success, surviving. They were also talking about well-being, which was great, sustaining performance, building future culture, and also the operational response. And it varied a lot between sectors. So if obviously many sectors had really bad times during the pandemic, other sectors actually thrived. So it'd be interesting for you to consider, what business priorities do you hear your leaders talking about? So secondly, what are HR seen to do about that? So we asked people to give an answer to this question before the pandemic and after. In my organization, HR is seen by senior leaders as major contributors to business success. And there was a 2-point shift up, which is great, a really positive response. And we asked people why. And the people who were really positive, 29% of them said they really had an opportunity to prove value, which is great. They helped the organization get through. And 10% said that HR were now at the top table. Those people that had concerns, well, you'll recognize these. Transactional, firefighting. Some said lack of leadership support, badly resourced. Some said a dumping ground, and that means where people put their rubbish. You'll also recognize that. And HR seen as a hindrance, the people who say no. So there weren't too many people saying that. So then we asked the question, what do you want senior leaders to say about HR? And this is what they said: a partner, an enabler, people who challenge. We're like a friend who can also stand up and help people think, commercial, credible, and champion better working lives. So what we mean here, I say again, it's about how you use those moments when you're with your stakeholder, those critical conversations. So here we asked, to what extent do you personally have a reputation as someone who helps the business? And again, it's a 2-point move, which is great. We asked what you want leaders to say about you personally. And here, and this is what we'll pick up shortly, the top of the list is values-led, supportive, and team player. Second is professional and competent. And third is business focused. And then we've got partner, being trusted and influential. And then somebody who is challenging. So then we looked at that from a different perspective, and we asked people to what extent they have high quality stakeholder relationships that get them talked about in a positive way. And we asked them to say before the pandemic and to score after the pandemic. And again, we get a 2-point move, which doesn't mean to say that everybody gave 2-point moves, because some people gave much more positive moves and some people felt they hadn't moved at all. And just 2 or 3 people thought they'd actually gone backwards. But on average, it's a really positive picture. And then we asked, how often, this is a frequency score, do you manage HR's reputation proactively? And we asked them, sometimes, often, most of the time, always. And you can see here that we have about 2/3 of people really thinking about it and 1/3 of people probably not thinking about it. And this is the challenge to us in HR, because reputation is pivotal. It's what gets you through the door. It's what gets you the budget for your HR tech or for more resources. So it really is important. So we asked people, the people who said they did manage it proactively, we asked them what works well. And they talked about communicating and influencing and also delivering, which is key. The values-based and team stuff was clearly important. Being approachable is something that I think is so important for HR people. Understanding the business, challenging, working as one HR team, being quick, responsive, proactive, and using their expertise and insight. So these are the things that people who do proactively manage their reputation, these are the things that they do that work. And these are the things with the people who are really concerned about managing their reputation: time and workload. I'm sure you'll all empathize with that. Lack of confidence that it could change anything, people being frustrated, lack of authority and autonomy. And somebody here in a centre of excellence that got feedback that their initiatives weren't aligned with the business. But that's just one comment. So when we pull out some of the themes from that data, we get this standout learning. And I know this has really helped HR people to think. So when we look at these scores, what HR people heard business leaders talk about was building future success or surviving. So picking those two top things from the lists earlier. And then when we said to them, we want HR to be seen as, they said, a partner in business success, involved in strategic decisions. That's the absolute top. And then being a strategic partner, crucial to business success, change makers, enable the business, a sounding board, all great things. But then when we ask the question, and this is what we're going to look at in a moment, I myself, as a human being, want to be seen as values-led is top with 31. Professional and competent was 26. And business focus was actually third on the list. So we've had some great debates about this at HR networking meetings, and I've spoken about this with clients. And this is something that we can really look at and give you some tools to consider. Because it's one thing to have it in our mind. So if you like, the first two columns, or certainly this middle column, is kind of intellectually. Intellectually, I want HR to be seen as a partner in business and so on. But I personally, when I'm in a meeting or I'm supporting a line manager, I want to be seen as values-led. So that's where they want to be seen as approachable. They want people to know that they can trust them. They want to be seen as part of the team. And then, of course, they want people to respect their competence and their advice. Now, these things are all really valuable. But it's a dilemma, isn't it? Because when we think about HR shifting its reputation and the way it's regarded in the company and getting a seat at that top table, HR have to be seen as business focused. And this is a real dilemma. And I actually asked Dave Ulrich about it, because I said, what do you think about this? Because HR people have to be approachable. You have to be the person in the organization that people can come to with their problems, with their concerns. And yet we're supposed to be business focused as well. And sometimes we're supposed to be both of those things in the same meeting. That's really tough. I've had situations in the past where somebody has just been, I've been in a kind of a coaching situation with one of the senior leaders just before the meeting, but then you have to snap into being this business focused person in the meeting. I don't think any other function has that challenge. So that's why I want us to look at that a bit more. And I'd like you to have something really practical to take with you. And this is a real challenge to you. What are your beliefs about HR and the role you want to play? Because if you don't believe it, you can't be it. And this is so something for you to think about. this is a model that's really useful to help us to understand just how this influences our behavior. Because my beliefs drive my behavior, and that drives the responses that I get from other people. So let me give you an example of this. When I was in my HR role, head of Europe in France, they had a real dilemma because they kept losing sales reps. So I went over there, did the study. Clearly they were underpaid. So I went to see our European president and said, this is the situation. It's causing a lot of hassle for sales managers. It takes us a long time to get the guys to settle down in their patch again. We have to build their skills. I was coming at it from an HR point of view, because for me, it's obvious that all those things are going to lead to a reduction in sales. It's obvious, isn't it? But actually what we need to do is go in and really hit that nail first. What I should have done was go in with my belief that I'm a business leader. I add value to the business. And I should have said to him, I've got an idea that's going to add 3% to your revenue in France. That would have got his attention, because the amount of money I needed to spend was only about 1% of revenue. So that's just an example to illustrate that we have to start from our own beliefs. The real power to make a difference sits here. So this is back to that flow. And I believe that the power is in the conversations. So I want to offer you something to think about, because there are moments when the way you come across will have so much impact. And it's really, really important for you to use those to demonstrate your beliefs and to really use the behaviors that you know are really effective, which doesn't mean rushing into a meeting at the last minute, flopping into the chair. And I'm saying this because I used to do it. Flopping into the chair thinking, oh my God, I can hardly think about this meeting because I'm still thinking about the last meeting. We have to be fully present and be ready to make the most of those moments. Now, you can't be on like that all the time. So you can think about opportunities that you can create. You might want to make a presentation about the value you want to add in HR. You can also predict. So there are going to be meetings when your key stakeholders are going to be there, when you might have an opportunity to feed in this idea or initiative or to get their views on something. And there are occasions that you can respond to, like the water cooler moments that we used to have. It's a bit harder to have them now. So you can have something in your head that gets across how you want to be seen. So mine used to be that I could pull into any conversation, and it's not very original. I want to be a partner with you in your business. And then that would turn the conversation in the right direction. And I could use that at any moment. So you can prepare for those, your beliefs and your behavior, and manage them consciously. And it's even more powerful if you can do that as an aligned team. So some thoughts to round up that section. Reputation is built on what people hear you talk about, not what's in your mind. You might be thinking about the business, but unless it comes out of your mouth, they're not going to know that. Talk about the business first, HR second, like my example. What are your own beliefs about the value that you and HR add? If you don't believe it yourself, then actually it's a good exercise to get the proof for yourself that you do, because then you can share that with others. Build reputation together as a team and achieve progress conversation by conversation. It doesn't happen overnight. So all that came from a survey that was very rich with that data, because HR people were good enough to give us their time and complete it. And we asked some open questions, which we also do in this new survey, because that's where the power is. Hearing what an HR director says is more powerful than saying 63 people said this and 42 people said that, because usually it's your own words. So this is what our survey is about, basically. It's called the Next Level HR Survey. And we're inviting people to move up a level. So I've started to think the word transformation, I'm not sure it fits with what HR does, because I'm quite sure that what you already do is very good. And I'm also sure that you want to lift up to the next level. So which of these levels do you feel your team spend their time in? To be honest, we all have to spend time in the red and the blue, to be honest. But if that's all your time, then that's very frustrating. Moving up a level is a really achievable objective. So what we want to find out is, why is it so hard to take HR to the next level? What is it that gets in the way? Because we know HR people want to do it, and we know some of the reasons, and we know, for example, that HR want to be involved earlier in decision making. We know that time and workload are issues, but why is it so hard to resolve those? So please take part in this short survey, and we will share the responses with you. And if we get enough, we'll do a report for Turkey. I just want to tell you about my book, and also please connect. I'd love to carry on this conversation with you. And in our report, there's loads more information, lots more detail and tips, so you can download it from this link here. And that's me done. I'm so sorry about the beginning of that session. Over to you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. It was lovely to hear you. So see you soon.